I must have read too much about Jesus Christ that I would make to drop everything to soothe anyone in distress. Even when I'd see someone looking for trouble, coming way down the road, let them do their worst. And when they'd return with apologies, only ask, "Why did you lose faith in me?" Well, one day I got hurt too badly, was left drawing in the wind, crying, "Father, why have you forsaken me?" The next, for once, saw something I actually wanted, so much so that I'd even be willing to fight for it. Though for all the sacrifices I believed I deserved it, everyone, including friends, turned against me. Not to make excuses, but it must also be mentioned here. It really is bad company and influence to be surrounded by those who, without removing the plank from their own eye, charge of against evidence in fairy tales believing, hardly bothered in my time of crisis, resisted my progress not to be surpassed. Unanimous advice against. No matter how biased the motivation, the general mood might have been telling that there was some kind of discord underway to heed. But too late. Already thinking, why should the innocent suffer injustice, when if anyone, it should be the guilty who are punished? And on the third day, Armageddon was upon us. The more I struggled, the higher I rose, but also hungrier it became, until I was at last king of the mountain, holding malice by its rotten ear. As it turned out, only makes it grow, and we all know how the way of the sword ends. Irrespective, but what a disgusting sight of civilization degenerating into the jungle. Worst of all, what I thought would never happen. I had lost my faith, left wondering whether to believe that things could be better, or to force them so. An empty dryness constricted my chest. As both looked flawed, it left me with no real answer. Because how could you believe when you are the one doing bad and headed the wrong way? And once those doubts have been entertained, it can be difficult to get free of them. Not because God or morality have been disproved, but that you have mistaken your path, and now it is a much longer way back. But I was a child full of empathy. Would not start eating a snack before sharing it with everyone present, even if it left me with practically nothing. Not that anyone would take so much when they saw you offering all you had, but be prevailed upon and humor you. And after I had paraded so tough, when someone else was the one to divide what less they had with everyone, including me, that I barely held it together. But who have I been trying to deceive? Acting like another person. There are those who employ underhanded methods, and there might even sometimes be some use for it. But the heart is still loving, and for me the preeminent guide, as probably with everyone else, where it could be helped. At least I set some long overdue boundaries. But before making the quick reversion back to softness, remember also that Jesus already died on the cross for us. Unfortunately, not everyone learned the lesson, or there had been an end to conflicts and society flourishing. Neither am I always playing the hero on stage. Sometimes prefer watching from the audience. Then when the curtain closes, can afford to clap. Because this time the tears do not run so much from pain as appreciation. Silly women, know they not that that was not me? Life is a tragedy, but it only ever plays out in jest, and that is also a comedy. Not quite so. If we can reinterpret our thoughts, it does not work so well at suppressing our emotions, which rear more violently back to mind and cause an unnecessary yet cumulative disturbance. Why throw away youth to waste? Nay, everyone will have to learn how to take more care of themselves and save for better use than allow to fall to pieces later to have to try to put back together. Rather, a gentleman in the premium seats than a hero tortured under spotlight. Still, if it was by faith I got into tribulations, it is a miracle that nothing terrible actually happened. So how could I doubt when I have been saved from destruction and to my ideals and source of joy returned? And this is the part about faith that cannot be explained, but how it works remains a mystery. It is even recommended to put to the test by giving as little as a tenth, and God preserve us no more to receive blessings in plenty firsthand, as is probably the closer meaning of Jesus' sacrifice, not to imitate the same ourselves, because the debt has already been paid, but play our own role of experiencing compassion, no negligible task if we will but make the conscious effort, instead of taking out our frustrations from the strong onto the weak. Frankly speaking, try giving help where it is needed to see if everything does not somehow truly get better if faith is never completely restored to its originally pure form. Visceral deliberation increases understanding to come to believe even more.